Today's show is devoted to marriage from the newlyweds' point of view. We have 4 newlywed couples with us. More importantly, we have a man who has been hosting a Chuck Barris production of the Newlywed Game for 14 years on television. Here is Mr. Bob Eubanks. Bob? Well, I'm okay. It's nice to have you with us. We're gonna ask some of the typical questions you ask in a Newlywed Game of people, but we're not going to play the game. We're going to try to get some real answers. And I figure after 14 years on television of looking at newlyweds, you could almost look at a room full of people and pick out the newlyweds. Figure that's correct?
I've never had to try that before. I think maybe that I can because, you know, there's a certain kind of people that marry certain kind of people. And I've never really had to try it. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, well, you're going to do it right now, because right to my right over here are 4 couples. They're the couples we're going to be talking with about the experience of being newlyweds. They've all been married for less than a year, and what we want to ask Bob Eubanks to do is put them together as married couples. Take the ones you think are married to each other with no verbal communication at all, move them over here, and see whether or not your intuition of 14 years on the Newlywed Game can pay off on midday today. Okay. Go ahead, Bob Eubanks.
All right.
I'd like you to do it right now.
First of all, the innocent ones are always the perverts. You see this fellow right here?
Yeah?
That's the weirdest guy on the staff, right here.
I think so.
When you get him home, he's crazy, and he goes nuts. You know, he chases his wife around the bathtub and things like that.
I happen to know his name is David. We can call him
David.
That's David.
How tall are you? Oh, I can't ask a question.
By the way, none of these people are gay. It's all a heterosexual relationship. We are not trying to trick you.
I had these 2 guys picked out. I'll be darned.
You spotted them in a furniture shop together, huh?
Yeah, they were picking out couches.
Good try, but no.
I will tell you. You want me to move them the way I really think that they are?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
I think they're with their mates. I think that is his mate, that's his, and that's his. And you want me to tell you why?
Why is that?
Okay, because first of all, I think that I'm talking about height now. I'm talking about people that look to me like they're together. I think these 2 look like they're together. I think that he very much looks like, I mean, that's a white-bread middle American look. I bet you're not from New York originally.
Really? This is one of the original Weathermen. Did you know this?
Is that right? Yeah. You know? And the gentleman here and the lady, their characteristics are like, and this couple, they just seem to go together. I think that they're with their mates.
All right, let's see how accurately Bob Eubanks made out on this. Will the husbands please give the wives a nice big kiss to get our show underway? He is absolutely correct.
Did I get him?
100%. He got everyone right.
Oh,
And that's the start of today's Midday. We come back with Bob Eubanks later on the show. Have some fun with the newlyweds, so stay with us. Congratulations. Good work. All right, Bob Eubanks is with us. First thing, congratulations. I think you did a fine job putting them together.
I've never done
Very
that before.
briefly, why were you able to make it happen like that?
Facial characteristics, I think, mostly.
You think people marry somebody who looks like them a little?
Sometimes, yes. And what I really think is that if you get a divorce and you marry someone else, the chances are you'll marry someone just like the one you left.
Yeah, people tend to repeat their cycles. Yeah. For 14 years you've been doing the Newlywed Game. Doesn't it get a little tired, a little stale?
No, never. You see, the 4 couples that we had here, if we set them down to play the Newlywed Game, they would have the same enthusiasm as the first 4 couples I saw.
So you get the enthusiasm from the couples.
Sure, I play off them.
But now Resorts International down in Atlantic City, which we just recently did a whole thing about their anniversary, is sponsoring for some reason, which I'm curious to find out, live versions of the Newlywed Game at malls all around this
basic part of the country.
Why
it's a good promotion for them. Well, you know, we go to the mall like last week we were in Brooklyn. And we did 6,000 people there on behalf of Resorts International to see the live version of the Newlywed Game. And what's fun about it is that if we go to a mall, there'll be 1,500, 2,000 couples apply to be on the show. And they know they're not going to be on television. It's just the idea that they want to be in show business. They want to be up on that stage.
How is the Newlywed Game different when you play it in a live situation than what we see on TV? Is it dirtier?
No. It's basically the same.
Couldn't get much dirtier than you do.
Oh, sure it can. No, I don't think I do a dirty television show.
I wouldn't say it's dirty. You have to do a lot for me to say it's dirty, but I think it's really good double entendre, really good suggestive stuff.
Okay, let me give you an example. You can watch any soap opera in the afternoon. You can see incest, adultery, anything you want to see. My kids are married. My kids are there to have a good time. Now, I'm not going to be naive enough to say I don't deal in double entendre, but for instance,
one of the things that makes it work.
Yeah, if I said, though, how far did you and your wife go on your first date? Okay? You may say all the way, but the guy sitting next to you may say 10 miles.
That's right.
That is a classic double entendre question.
That's exactly. Well, some of the ways that you construct the questions, which we can get into later, the questions themselves are funny, like the ones you were telling me before the show.
Yes.
We'll get into some of those later on. Regular viewers of the show know that one of the things I try to strive for in guests is to show how they can defy category. Most people think, oh, that's the MC of the Newlywed Game. Bob Eubanks happens to be a television producer with 2 shows coming out this fall, right? Buddy Hackett, Toni Tennille. He has been a rock producer, as Howard Stein, who is one of the husbands we'll be talking, has also been a rock concert promoter. You promoted some Beatles concerts in LA.
I did the Beatles all 3 years they toured. I did them at the Hollywood Bowl for 2 years, then Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles the 3rd year.
Have you stayed in touch with the guys?
No.
How much contact did you have with the Beatles then?
The first year I got along with Harrison and McCartney very well. The second year Paul was still very nice. And the 3rd year I didn't get along with the 4 of them at all.
What was the difference? And what did
well,
they
were
want?
peopled out. I have no problem with that, by the way, because I can totally understand it. By the time that they came around the 3rd year, they had it. I mean, people were clawing at them. People were asking them to do this and do that. And also the financial rewards, I don't think were that great for them at the time. Let me give you an example. In 1966, we had 42,000 people at Dodger Stadium for the Beatles.
Yeah.
If you were to put the Beatles at Dodger Stadium today, you might have 300,000, 400,000 people. We had 42,000. I paid them $120,000. Now, if you figure they paid their manager 25%, they paid their agent 10%, that's 35% gone right there. Then they had to pay all of the support talent on the show. They had to pay the transportation, the chartered jet, and all the hotels. If they ended up with $5,000 apiece, I'd have been surprised.
Plus, I saw an interview that Geraldo Rivera was doing recently with Paul McCartney, and I think that by the 3rd year like that, they really became corporations. It was each individual person had agents and managers, and that's a shame. You think they'll ever get back together again?
No, there's no reason for them to get back together. Paul McCartney's doing so well with the Wings situation and by himself, and I just don't see that there's any real reason to do so.
Then back to you. What is your stake in continuing doing the Newlywed Game? Well, you have a production company that's doing very well. You don't have to continue being an MC on television.
Well, the Newlywed Game is out of production. We went out of production in February. It'll probably go off the air.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it'll probably go off the air.
I wouldn't have asked that question.
That's okay. No, it's okay.
I didn't know that.
It's fine. It's time to do something else.
Right.
If they wanted me to sign a contract for the rest of my life to do the show, I would do it because I really enjoy it.
You dig it, so you have fun.
35 days a year. That's all it took.
For fairly good money.
Okay.
What was your reaction to the Burt Parks dismissal?
Well, I happen to think that we all have our turn. And I think Burt had his turn. If the Newlywed Game comes back with another MC, I will have no problem with that because I've had my turn. Thank you. And time does move. It's time to bring in new faces. As a television producer, when I look for MCs, I look for someone new. I look for new talent, new vibrance. And so I don't see anything wrong with the Burt Parks dismissal.
Right. How do you launch, how is Toni Tennille, and you were telling me before the show, Bob is saying that this is a great interviewer, a really special talent. How does it come to be that Toni Tennille has her own talk show? Not that people don't deserve to be able to break category, because I really believe in that, but why Toni Tennille?
Well, first of all,
why not the captain?
The people at NBC.
What about Neil Sedaka? Why she? You know?
Because first of all, she's a very intelligent, very well-read lady. She has an interest in people. It's something you have an interest in people. Okay, you like to sit and talk and interview.
Without it, why would I be sitting here? Yeah?
Toni there's a reality about her. As we were talking earlier, if she's talking to a guest, she'll look him right in the eye. And if the guest is talking about diets, Toni will say, well, I have a big bottom too. You see, she sticks her chin out and she says, here I am. I'm only Toni Tennille, and I want to talk to you about us. Then she goes over to that piano and she sings like no one sings. Boy, she can really.
Well, the Toni Tennille show, as I understand it, is going to be a little bit more variety than just straight talk show, sitting and talking, right?
It's not just a couch show. What
is the clip that you have?
It's a 2-minute clip of sort of a compilation of what the Toni Tennille show is all about. I'm very proud of this.
Let's take a look at it. This will be on NBC soon, correct?
Yes, September 15th. It airs.
3 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is a Bob Eubanks production.
Hill Eubanks.
Hill Eubanks. Let's not forget Mr. Hill.
Hi, I'm Toni Tennille. Do you ever look at them or you just write them off?
One day I'm going to get drunk. And I'm going to take a few friends of mine that I know that haven't seen Barbarella yet, and I'm going to hold their hands real tight. I tried to see it once again, and I wasn't happy when I made it, and it makes me very uncomfortable to see it, but I want to see it, but I can't do it by myself. You're a good interviewer.
Well, you're a good
interviewer. You're going to go far.
See, I'm one of trippy. A lot of folks don't know that. 3 boys born 15 minutes apart. Ed, Fred, and Red. Yeah. My dad came to the hospital. He saw us laying there in the crib. He looked at my mother. He said, Mary, you pick out the one you want, because I'm going to drown them other two.
It's gonna be a heartache tonight, I know. You do have a son, a new son, and yet you are not married to his
Right.
mother.
Oh,
And did you
absolutely.
worry about what people would say about that?
No. Listen, life is too short to go around worrying about what they say, particularly when you become a celebrity. You suddenly have access to millions and millions of people. You drive yourself crazy if you worry about what they all think.
Wonderful show.
Well, thank you.
Very interesting show. Nobody does a show like you do it. Very good. Quick,
that
everybody
nice?
on, off, nice, interesting.
When you did your show, I mean, it was live.
Yeah.
Were you ever concerned that you wouldn't make it on the air, or
Every night, yeah.
every night?
Many a night I would scream, stop tape, but they hadn't invented tape yet.
Coming from the
Okay, that's a Hill Eubanks production, and we applaud you, I think, for, like Dick Clark and like several other television personalities before you, to combine doing one thing well and combine doing another thing well, and to show people that just because they know you for doing one thing doesn't mean you can't be great in other areas. For example, you're a rodeo star.
Not a rodeo star, I rodeo.
No? You rodeo?
Yes.
Why in God's name do you get on a horse or rope steer? What turns you on about that? It's the
I've always
last
had
thing in the world I'd be interested in doing is be roping a steer.
Well, I've always had a little cowboy, I guess, in me all my life.
Where did you grow
I
up?
still do. Basically in California. I don't know what causes people to do things,
Yeah,
but,
you get into
but if anything ever ruins my business, it'll be horses. I love good-looking horses.
So you
I love
live
the
on a
rodeo.
horse farm?
Well, yeah, but I like to get down. You know, I have two sports. I play golf and I rope. And I love the competitiveness of roping, to get down into the dirt. And I love the people involved. They're very real people. And it's a great name for a television show.
Real people?
Yeah.
Good idea.
And I love golf because it's pretty. And it's but however, anybody that plays golf for relaxation's got something wrong with it.
I don't think golf is relaxing
Dirty,
at all.
rotten,
No, it's very,
swirling
very
crap.
tense. But rodeo, I always feel very sorry when you see the rope go around the steer and the little tongue sticks out. See, I couldn't do. You know that? See,
You do that very
in
well.
back-
Let me say it again.
You're on the back of the. But this is what it looks like from the front.
Is that what it looks like?
Yeah, the rope goes around. The steer is. What's happened to me? You know, why is this guy chasing me? I couldn't get into that.
I love it.
Well, that's good. Listen, all the years you've been doing the Newlywed Game,
Yeah.
14 years, okay? There must be several, but name or give us one good example of something you just couldn't show that happened. Couldn't use it.
Well,
Had to edit
you know,
the old tape.
we had a real problem editing things out because the FCC says you can't edit any portion of a game out. However, there was an incident one time. I asked a little girl, I said, what's the one thing you told your husband not to talk about while you're here on the show? She says that he's stealing money from the business. He says, I'm not either. She says, Leon, you know you are. So we felt very bad for him, and so we did cut that segment out to keep him out of jail, probably.
Nobody called the business?
No.
Leon,
do you have time
know
for another
you-
incident?
Yeah, let's hear another.
Okay. We had to throw a show away one time.
Why?
There was a time that we would put first and last names on cards. So I asked the question, if your husband got a Valentine from someone other than you, who would it be from? And I'm going to make up a name. And the girl said Ellen Bernstein. Okay? Now there were some, and he came back and said the same thing. There were some friends of Ellen in the audience. So after the taping, friend calls, Ellen, guess what? Your name's going to be on television. And she calls the network and says, you put my name on television, I'm going to sue you. What happened is the guy was getting on an airplane to fly here to New York to marry Ellen Bernstein. And he met a flight attendant on the airplane, fell in love with her, and got off the airplane and said, sorry, Ellen, I'm marrying a flight attendant.
Wow.
And so when she found out that her name was going to be on the card, she called up and threatened to sue the network, and so we had to throw the entire show away.
Boy, that's a toughie.
But that was the
particularly
last
for
time.
her.
Yeah, for sure.
And guess what? She's probably watching right now, and she's going to sue us.
Yeah, but her name's on Ellen Bernstein.
That's good. Okay.
Marilyn Boggs, I think was.
No, that wasn't the one. Well, there's no question that there is some kind of mystique about newlyweds in our society. People talk about them, and when you tell somebody you're newlyweds, they go through all kind of do a number on you. The Newlywed Game has been doing numbers for 14 years on television, so we thought we'd get some newlyweds on and talk to them about being a newlywed, both with funny and serious stuff. Bob Eubanks is with us, and here are, see, I wish I could hear that. The Newlyweds. This is Andrea Deal. You saw her at the top of the show, and there is her husband, Harry J. Katz. But you go by the name Deal, right?
Usually.
Usually, okay. This is Tawn Stein. Tawn is the wife of Howard Stein. Howard Stein, the co-proprietor of Xenon and the new Rock Lounge, which opens tonight. We can talk about that a little bit. Here is Carmen Matias, our former associate producer, and her husband, Hector Mercado. But you sometimes are Mrs. Mercado, right?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes.
Sometimes, when you feel like it, right?
Right.
And here is Denise Hassel and her husband, Dave. And they have been married for just literally 1 week. So I welcome all of you. And Bob, take over with a couple of the sort of things you like to ask newlyweds.
Denise Hassel?
Denise Hassel.
She married a hassle.
Yeah, it's a big hassle. We'll have a little hassle soon.
Oh, probably a lot of little hassles. I'll ask them all a question. This may not work, but we'll try it just for fun.
It'll work.
What I do is I try to extract humor from people in a different kind of a way, I guess. For instance, let's start with Denise down there, wife number 4. Denise, how far did you and your husband go on your first date? Can you tell me that?
Not very far at all.
How far did you go?
We didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything. Big spender, yeah.
Didn't actually have a date?
We went to a movie.
Oh, so you went about 5 miles and didn't you see? I mean, now, see, some couples will answer 15 miles, some couples... Which one, let me ask you another question. Which one of the 7 dwarfs best describes your husband's whoopee behavior?
Dopey.
Dopey, okay. All right.
Whoopee behavior?
Yeah, well, you see,
this is the term we're using in primetime television these days?
I will not say make love. I won't say make love on television.
You can't say sex life either, huh?
No, I won't say make love on television. I don't even like the term sex life, you know, it bothers me.
You like whoopee, baby.
I like whoopee, you know.
I like sex life myself, but it's okay.
Yes.
Keep going.
All right, let's see. What was your first name again, huh?
Carmen.
Carmen. Carmen, when was the last time your husband masticated?
This morning.
Wonderful, that's good. For those of you who don't, that means to chew. So, you know, that kind of question we developed when I asked one time, what was your wife's favorite rodent, or husband's favorite rodent, and the little girl didn't know what rodent meant, so she said his saxophone. So from a rodent we went to masticate, and you can imagine what kind of answer I got, to vacillate and things of that sort. Okay, what's your name, Tanya?
Tawn.
Tawn. Tawn, where's the strangest, most unusual place the two of you have ever made whoopee? Yes, Tom?
Xenon.
Well, she'll do anything for a plug for a club. I mean, fooling around in a club?
Plugging a club?
Plugging a club. Is that his new club?
Yeah. Club plugging.
So you're there going to open the business, and that's what happened, is that it?
Howard is just sitting there nodding his head, watching his career go down the drain.
Okay, let's go here. Here again, now I'll ask a question. What is your husband's most unusual little boy habit?
There are a lot of them.
I'm sure there are.
The most unusual one?
What does he do most like a little boy all the time? Because he's dressed in a business suit. He's obviously a good businessman and such, but still, I bet you he has a little boy thing about him. What is it?
Well, a lot of times he says he's the best boy.
He's what?
Best boy.
Wasn't that a movie about a retarded?
I know. I remind him of that occasionally. But
does he play with any toys? No, never mind.
yes, we have a little thing that goes around and around.
In the bathtub? Mm-hmm. He looked like a guy who plays with a toy in a bathtub. See? Harry looks like a fellow has a duck.
It's a frog.
It's a frog. Ah,
one of those
Harry has a frog. What's his frog's name?
Well, the frog doesn't have the name. Well, the turtle has the name.
The turtle has the name. Here, you see what I mean? You see what I'm telling you?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
keep going. I'm having fun.
Fools around in the nightclub. Her husband plays with a frog. You know? Huh.
I'd be curious to hear from Tawn about what went wrong on your honeymoon. I'd like to hear a little honeymoon story from everybody. How was the honeymoon?
Probably a lot of little honeymoon stories.
Well, what went wrong on the honeymoon were our children.
Your children?
Yes.
You took your children on your honeymoon with you?
It's the biggest mistake anyone could ever make. Because the first day we arrived in Acapulco, it was a wonderful house, my first time there, and Howard's daughter hated the house. So that was it. It started from
How old
there.
was Howard's daughter? How old was her?
13.
13. Took a 13-year-old girl on your honeymoon. You're weird, Howard. You're weird. Howard's a pervert. I figured that out early.
Now, Denise, you've been married for one week, right?
Uh-huh.
What about your honeymoon? Where did you spend it, and what went right and what went wrong?
Well, we're staying at the Summit, the newlywed home, I guess you could say.
In the Poconos?
Uh-huh.
Do you have one of those heart-shaped tubs?
We did. We had a heart-shaped one.
What do you mean you did?
Victory at sea.
They moved you out of
They did. They put us into another room called the Fantasia. It has a pool in it and a sauna and all for the last 2 days.
Was that nice?
Oh, it's great.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Tell
it
me
was
about
really
No, never mind, don't tell me.
Sorry, what went wrong on the honeymoon?
What went wrong? Well, they had the Summit Newlywed Game, and we wanted to get on it, and we didn't. So I guess that's the only thing
Well, you won.
went
You
wrong.
got on television.
Let me ask you a question. How many times did you and your husband not make whoopee on your honeymoon?
Not.
That's a tough question.
This is an impossible question.
Where do you live?
In Florida.
In Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, your kitchen. Do you picture yourself standing in your kitchen? Okay, if you're standing right in your kitchen, in which direction then does the sun come up right there in your neighborhood?
Comes up in the east.
It does. That's interesting. How about in your neighborhood?
I don't know. South, I guess, right? No, east. Oh, east. My husband's
You're doing it! The man is doing it! I guess that's why the show's been on for 4
Do you see what you can do? You can take 4 very intelligent ladies here, and you can put them in a different position, and you can verbally manipulate. Because when I said in your neighborhood, you see, that changed the whole...
That's
if I'd
right.
ask any of them, which direction does the sun come up? They say east.
East. Oh.
But you see, when I ask her in her neighborhood, she says, oh, the ocean's over here. It's south, I guess.
Andrea, what went wrong at your wedding? I was actually in your wedding, and it went very smoothly, but something must
Were you the
have
best
gone
man?
wrong. No, I was only one of the ushers.
Trouble with being the best man, you never get a chance to prove it.
That's true, because the groom gets the credit. What went wrong at the wedding?
At the wedding. Well, I think Harry's son had some champagne and he started yelling at him for that, but that's the only thing that I remember. I don't remember.
Dawn, how about your wedding? You were on our show, actually, right after you got married on midday.
Nothing went wrong in my wedding. Nothing.
Carmen. I also went to Carmen's wedding.
You're very big at weddings, aren't you?
Well, I'd rather go than be the principal of attraction. But Carmen had the only wedding that I have ever been to that started exactly on time. It was so prompt that the flowers weren't there yet. And Warren,
wasn't there.
half of I walked in just as I heard Sector say, "I do," and Gwen Barrett came walking in as you were walking out. Why did your wedding start? Were you that anxious to get married?
I had a reluctant groom, and I figured if I just started on time, he may change his mind. No, I don't know. I'm very nervous about time, and if I said 12, it's 12. It's not 12.
And you're a producer?
Yeah, I used to work.
Have 4 kids.
Producer with an ulcer.
No, and I turned around and I said, "My God, the pictures! Someone had to remind me. I had to go through the whole thing just to get pictures."
Yeah, well, it was like the second staying to see what you missed in a movie. I missed the first part of the wedding, so I stayed around and watched the photographer take pictures of it.
I still get criticism about that.
Well, it wasn't criticism.
You know, Bill, a lot of people say to me, those people on the Newlywed Game are so stupid, and they'll make comments like that, and I become very riled at that, because the people on my television show are no different than these 4 lovely ladies right here. It's just that. Once you put them on television, you turn the red light on the camera, you can get them to say things. I mean, the lady's husband has a frog. He plays with in the bathtub. Can you see him walking into a business meeting?
With his frog?
Not with his frog. Did he take his frog on his honeymoon?
No.
No, okay.
Didn't need it.
But everybody, all of us have a little boy and little girl in us. Everybody has a crack in their personality that humor can be extracted from. That's what I try to do.
Well, you do a good job at it. I wish you continued success with the Newlywed Game, running around doing it for resorts. You have to take off to go do that.